Okay, so on this bell work, we're going to solve for different arc measures on a circle. And if we look at problem number 1, we are given that we have a 45-degree angle and the radius of the circle is 14, but I want to know the length of the arc. And in order to figure out the length of the arc, you have to have radian measure. And once we have that, we can just apply the formula for arc length. So let's do that. I'm going from 45 degrees to radians, which means I have to multiply by pi over 180. And 4 goes into 180 4 times. So 45 degrees is actually pi over 4. And we know that the formula for arc length, L, is equal to r theta and since r is 14, I'll substitute here and I will plug in pi over 4 here. So the exact answer, if I reduce this fraction, would be 7 pi over 2. And if I type 7 times pi into the calculator and then divide by 2, I get 10.99, which is pretty much, actually it's a little bit larger than 10.99. It's 10.9955 and so on. So I'm gonna select 11, right? Because that's gonna be the best estimate. Number 2, if the length of the 45-degree region of this circle is 10 inches, then what's the radius? Okay, so same formula. I know that the length is 10, so they give me the length of the arc, and they want me to solve for the radius length. So it's the same formula, right? I'm going to say, well, the length of the arc is r theta. But remember, theta has to be in radians. I know the length of the arc is 10, so I'll plug in 10. So 10 has to equal r times, and we said that 45 degrees is pi over 4. I guess what I'll do is go ahead and clear out the fraction on both sides. I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. If I multiply the right side by 4, then I get a cancellation here. But I also have to multiply the right side by 4. And 4 times 10 is 40. So 40 is equal to r times pi. And if I divide both sides by pi, the radius is 40 divided by pi. And 40 divided by pi is 12.73. 12.73. I do not see that on the answer. So let me go back and make sure. Sometimes quizzes is wrong, sometimes I'm wrong. So let's take a look at this. The radius, see, the length of the 45-degree region is 10, so that's good. What is the radius? We said L is equal to r theta. We plugged in 10 for L. We're solving for r. Pi over 4 is 45 degrees. We multiplied by 4 on both sides. That gave me r times pi is 40. So r has to be 40 divided by pi, which is 12.73. All right, so they have an error here. So I hope you figured out that the answer is 12.73. And just to be safe, I'm going to check this. I have a feeling that whoever made this quizzes did not use pi over 4. They probably, maybe they used the 45. I'm not sure, but they're not supposed to do that. So let's check this. I'm claiming that R is 12.73. And if I multiply 12.73 times pi over 4, I get 9.998, which is 10. Therefore, the answer is 12.73. So quizzes, as we have seen, is not perfect, but we were able to correct it and check our response. Okay, problem number 3, find the area of the shaded sector. So we've done arc length. Now we're going to look at the area of a sector, and we have to use the area formula. It looks a lot like the area of a triangle. Remember, a triangle's area is 1/2 base times the height, but we do 1/2 of r squared. We're squaring because it's an area problem, and it's 1/2 of r squared theta. And we know that the diameter is 30, so that means the radius has to be 15. And I will substitute 15 in for r. And r squared is 225. And now I have to figure out the angle. Well, if this is 110 degrees, then this has to be 70 degrees because I know there are 180 degrees in a straight line. So let me convert 70 degrees to radians. Well, that's going to be 70 times pi over 180, which ends up being 7 pi over 18. Let me rewrite that. Okay, let me try this again. That has to be 7 pi over 18. Okay. All right, so we have, what do we have here? Well, let's see. I'm going to multiply 225 times 7. And then I'm going to divide that by 2 times 18, which is 36. So it looks to me like the answer is 43.75 pi, but I'm going to have the calculator to convert that to a fraction, and that ends up being 175 pi over 4. So here's the answer. Now, how did I do that? Well, I multiplied 225 times 7 to get the numerator. Don't forget the pi. And then the denominator is 2 times 18. And once I converted that to a decimal, I just pressed the math button on the calculator and selected the first option that converted it to a fraction. That gave me the 175 divided by 4. And then, of course, we're multiplying by pi.